on, because what I'm about to tell you could flip everything you thought you knew about the Indiana Fever this season upside down. And if you think this is just another update on Caitlin Clark's return date, you're already missing the real story. Because behind the scenes, something way bigger is brewing, something that could decide not only when she comes back, but if she even wants to return at full strength. And after what just went down against Dallas Fever, fans are absolutely losing their minds, and the whispers coming out of the locker room are even wilder because while ESPN dropped their so-called inside scoop on her recovery timeline, that's only scratching the surface. The real drama is what's happening with head coach Stephanie White, and it has the entire fan base ready to explode. So if you think this is just about injuries, you're dead wrong. This is about trust, this is about leadership, and this is about whether the franchise player of the WNBA's hottest team is watching her own coach sink the season before she even laces up again. Picture this. Tuesday night, the 12th of August, Gainbridge Fieldhouse is packed to the rafters with over 18,000 screaming fans, every single one, expecting the Fever to torch the Dallas Wings on their home court, because on paper, this was supposed to be a beatdown, and while it looked like it would be, until the third quarter happened and everything imploded in a way that had the entire building in shock. Because out of nowhere, Dallas ripped off a 19-0 run. Let me say that again, 19 straight points without an answer. From Indiana, the crowd went from electric to dead silent in under 4 minutes. And what did Stephanie White do to stop the bleeding? Nothing, no timeout, no defensive switch, no spark, just stood there and they watched her team get embarrassed in their own house. And if that wasn't bad enough, right in the middle of that meltdown, ESPN's Ryan Ruocco casually drops a bombshell about Caitlin Clark, saying she's been doing more on-court work and running more and could return around August 22nd or 24th against Minnesota. But what they didn't mention is that Clark has been watching all of this from the sidelines, and sources say she's not impressed. Think about it. You're the face of the franchise. You've already missed 18 games this season with not one, not two, but 3 different injuries. And now you're sitting at home watching your team make the exact same mistakes over and over again. And it's not just frustrating, it's infuriating, because this Dallas game showed exactly why Fever fans are running out of patience. Kelsey Mitchell was cooking, Aaliyah Boston was dominating the paint, and Sophie Cunningham was on absolute fire from 3 raining shots like it was target practice. So what does Stephanie White do? She pulls Cunningham, the hottest shooter on the floor, and replaces her with Damiris Dantas, who immediately goes 0 for 3 from deep and kills all momentum. And here's the kicker. This isn't some one-time brain freeze. This is White's entire coaching philosophy. She's openly admitted she doesn't believe in riding the hot hand. She sticks to rigid rotation patterns. No matter what's happening in the game, it's like she's coaching out of a dusty playbook from 20 years ago and refusing to adapt while the rest of the league evolves. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear what happened after the final buzzer, because instead of owning the collapse, Stephanie White stepped into the press conference and blamed the refs, saying Aaliyah Boston is the most poorly officiated post player in the league. And yeah, maybe she has a point about the calls, but when you allow a 19-0 run without calling a single timeout, you don't get to hide behind the officials. You look in the mirror and take responsibility. And what makes this even more damning is that White was brought in as the so-called defensive mastermind who was supposed to transform this roster. But the numbers tell a different story last year under Christy Sides, who everyone criticized. The Fever won 20 games this year with supposedly a better coach and a stronger lineup. They're sitting at 18-15, and if you take away the 4 wins against a Chicago Sky team that's basically a G League squad, you're left with a 14-15 record below 500, and that's with players like Kelsey, Mitchell, Aaliyah, Boston, Lexi Hull, and when healthy, Caitlin Clark. This isn't progress, this is stagnation dressed up as leadership. And the fan base is tearing itself in half over at one side still defending White, saying she just needs more time to fully install her system, and the other side growing louder every single game, demanding she be fired on the spot, and they're not holding back. One fan flat out posted that Stephanie White needs to look in the mirror and take responsibility for not calling a reset timeout for drawing up a play where Natasha Howard is stuck under the basket instead of handling the ball, and for having zero strategy when it mattered most. Another fan didn't sugarcoat it at all, calling her a terrible coach with terrible rotations who can't recognize a hot hand, and saying the excuse about not getting calls is dead and buried at this point. And honestly, they've got a case. Because here's the part that stings Austin Kelly, the assistant coach who stepped in earlier this season when White had to miss games for personal reasons, actually won those games. The team played faster, looser, and with way more energy, and now there's a real conversation about whether Kelly should get a longer run just to see what he could do if given the keys for real. But this all circles back to Caitlin Clark because her situation is the real tipping point. This is only her second season, and she's already missed more games than she did in her entire college career at Iowa, where she played 185 straight without sitting once, and now she's been sidelined with a left quad strain, then a left groin injury, and now a right groin injury. The Fever are 3-4 without her, but that record doesn't even tell the story, because when Clark is on the floor, even at less than 100%, everything changes. The energy in the building is different, the way her teammates move is different, the television ratings spike through the roof, and the entire league feels it. But now, with reports saying she might not be back until late August, we could be looking at a season where the player who started as the betting favorite for MVP barely plays 20 games total, and for a franchise that's been banking on her as the centerpiece of everything, that's not just bad luck, that's a nightmare. And here's where things get really interesting, because from everything I'm hearing, this isn't just about her physical recovery. Caitlin Clark is being extra cautious with her return because she's not convinced this coaching staff can actually put her in positions to succeed. And why would she rush back into a system that doesn't maximize her talents? Think about her last game before this injury. She took a beating, the kind of physical pounding that makes highlight reels for all the wrong reasons. And while Stephanie White acknowledged the contact, she refused to go to war for her star player. She literally said there's a certain level of physicality teams can get away with against Clark, and she's not sure why, but it just is what it is. And that's basically admitting you're watching your franchise player get mauled and you're not going to do anything to change it. Compare that to how other elite coaches protect their stars. Steve Kerr would lose his mind. If Steph Curry got hit like that, coaches for LeBron or Luka don't hesitate to confront the refs. But White got fined once for mild criticism, and now she's tiptoeing around it, which isn't leadership, it's fear. So right now, the earliest target for Clark's return is August 22nd against Minnesota. But even that's not locked in. The team keeps saying she's running more, doing more on-court drills, and that they're taking it day by day, prioritizing her long-term health. But what they're not saying out loud is that every game she misses is putting a giant spotlight on just how shaky the coaching has been without her. And the schedule isn't doing them any favors either. They've got Washington on Friday and Connecticut on Sunday before that potential week off. And if they drop both of those games, the pressure on Stephanie White is going to explode past the breaking point because fans aren't just frustrated anymore, they're openly talking about change. Some want her gone immediately, others are saying wait until Clark returns and see if things improve. But deep down, everyone's wondering the same thing, even when Clark comes back, is anything really going to change, or are we just going to watch the same rigid rotations, the same missed timeouts, and the same refusal to adapt play out all over again? And if we're being honest, it could actually get worse because Clark's return won't be some magic fix. She's going to be rusty, she's probably not going to be at full strength, and she's stepping back into a system that already wasn't working. This was supposed to be the year the Fever built on last season's momentum. They upgraded the roster, they brought in a coach with championship credentials, and instead, they're barely staying above water. Their star player can't stay on the floor, and the fan base is in chaos. One night, they look like they can beat anybody. The next, they're getting blown out by teams they should dominate. And that's the part that stings the most because the Fever have one of the most passionate fan bases in the entire WNBA. They've got the most marketable player in the league when she's healthy, and they've got enough talent to contend. But none of it matters if the coaching isn't there. And right now, the results say Stephanie White might not be the answer. So the real question now is whether the front office has the guts to act if nothing changes once Clark is back. because every day they wait is another day of her prime. They'll never get back. August 22nd is coming fast. And when number 22 finally steps back on that floor, all eyes are going to be locked on. Whether this team can actually turn the corner or if we're about to watch the same mistakes drag them down again. And if that happens, if they keep underperforming with a healthy Caitlin Clark, then this season will go down as one of the biggest wasted opportunities in WNBA history. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Is Stephanie White the problem? Should the Fever pull the trigger? Is a coaching change before it's too late? And when do you actually think Clark will return? Make sure you're subscribed because this story is nowhere near over. And the next few games could decide everything for Indiana's future and for Caitlin Clark's legacy.